Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Shelton, coming to you live from partly cloudy and quite chilly Los Angeles, California. All this past month, and actually for the last couple of months, we've been talking about energy. And first of all, we started off 2 months ago by talking about and discussing relationships and how healthy relationships actually helps to build our energy and helps to build our vitality, and how unhealthy relationships actually will take away and can actually contribute to diseases like depression, or eating disorders or drinking too much, whatever. So anyways, having those healthy boundaries, having healthy relationships with people, and cutting out the toxic people in your life and the people that want to just suck from you and don't give anything back. Then last month, what we talked about was the meat we eat, the food, the energetic properties of food, and how different foods benefit different internal organs of the body, and how some foods that may seem, or some fad diets that may seem healthy, are actually maybe contributing to more disease for certain people. So understanding your typology, understanding what your condition is, and understanding what are these energetic properties. It's not just about the nutrient value or the calories of the food that you're eating, but it's how the food is how the food is raised, how it's taken care of, and how mindful you are when you're eating it, and what are the energetic properties that are going to help to bring you to your fullest potential. And speaking of fullest potential, I thought it'd be fun to talk about Feng Shui. Now, what's interesting about Feng Shui is that a lot of people think, well, if I put a crystal inside my environment, it's going to change everything. And quite honestly, Feng Shui only accounts for about 20% of your being. So that means that the 80%, you still have to make those other changes in your life. But I can tell you from firsthand experience that by making subtle changes in your environment and understanding the energy flows in your environment, how it could actually help to enhance your prosperity, your health, your mental, emotional well-being, and your spiritual development. And if you're somebody who's looking for relationships, how to pull that relationship back or the relationship that you're seeking into your life. So Feng Shui, well, Feng Shui is about the energy arrangements of things and objects, and there's different schools of Feng Shui, like the Black Sex School, the Compass School. What I'm going to be talking about today, which is for me is most applicable, which is the Five Element School, because the Five Element School is actually based upon your typology. And if you get my book, Qigong for Self-Refinement, Total Health of the Five Elements, in the very back of the book, you'll see that there's a 5-element questionnaire. Or if you log into the link down below and give us your email, we'll send you a free 5-element questionnaire to figure out what your typology is. Now, this typology talks about our personality, but it's not like an enneagram that's just looking at your personality. What we're looking at too is what is the organ that governs you. And so what does that mean? What are the things that certain typologies possess? For example, fire types are really good at expressing emotions and love, and they're very warm, and when they're in balance, they laugh a lot. They're a lot of times the life of the party. The negative attributes when a fire type is out of his or her typology is that they could actually be vulnerable. They lack boundaries. They may have manic episodes. And just like fire in our environment, what happens with fire? It burns bright and then it burns out. So fire typologies, when they're out of balance, could also have a state of burnout as well too. So understanding what your typology is and what is the strength of that typology and utilizing it to its utmost is of great importance for proper balance. So all these talks, all these YouTube live and Facebook live, Instagram lives that we're doing, what we're doing is that we're trying to give out as much information as possible, because when we look at the whole organism and we look at this life on this planet, it's not just about diet, it's not just about meditation or Qigong or Tai Chi, it's not just about exercise, it's taking everything into account. So just like I was talking about with relationships, opening up our discussion this morning, those healthy relationships actually help to feed our souls. And Jim Rohn, he says it best, and he says that, who you hang around with is what you become. So if you want to become a highly influential person, successful person, you hang around with highly influential and successful people. That's just the laws of nature. So the 5-element school of Feng Shui, what I love about it is that it's very simple. It's based upon your typology, like I said. There's some aspects of the other schools of Feng Shui that get very complicated and there's a lot of math put into it and stuff. And sometimes, like if you're using the compass goal, for example, and if you followed it to its direct directions, then who knows? You may be having your kids do their homework on the toilet in the bathroom, watching TV for proper balance. So you really have to understand that there's a lot of different things in our environment, and these different schools, they can be very accurate, but sometimes it can be too complicated. So one of the first and foremost things that I always recommend to people, if even if you don't know your typology, what your element type is, it's a basic rule of thumb to only keep alive things in your environment. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if possible, try to have live plants in your environment. Don't keep dead plants laying around, because anything dead is dead energy. For some people who's lost a parent, a father, a mother, a child, whatever, they have the person cremated, and then they put the person into an urn, and then they have the urn on the fireplace or on a shrine somewhere. And I understand that respect. I understand wanting to hold on to that memory, but in reality, death is death, and dead is dead energy. To me, and I've lost people in my life too. To me, the memory is still going to be there. So even if you got that energy out of your environment, believe it or not, you actually will start to heal. You actually will start to feel better. Other things too, like let's say you had a loved one pass away. I've had clients like this where they're depressed, having a hard time getting relationships, and I was asking, well, what's your house like, or what's your apartment like? And they'll say, oh, well, I have furniture left over from my mom who passed away 5 years ago, and that still holds the energetic fingerprint of that person. So my recommendation is, no, get rid of the furniture, give it away to the Salvation Army or whatnot, or to your homeless shelter, and get yourself some new furniture that fits your energy, because we want to let go of that energetic vibration. So first and foremost here, let go of things that are dead energy. If there's energy spaces in your environment that you feel are stagnant, where it's not moving, having something like a wind chime, or mobile in the corner of that room. A fountain is really great, a small little fountain. Running water represents the flow of energy, also represents the flow of money. And so, having a little fountain running continuously in a certain corner that is dead energy, doesn't get that much light or whatnot, doing something as simple as that could actually help to change the flow of the space. Now again, dead energy is dead energy. So if that pump goes out on that fountain, make sure to replace the pump and change the water, because we don't want the stagnant water to collect, because then that collects, guess what? Stagnant energy. All right. So very simple, basic principles. You can think, oh God, Chris, that's being a hypochondriac, but no, really, if you pay attention to what goes on in your environment and understand how energy flows, then what you'll do is that you'll only attract things that are alive. Now, if you can't have a live plant in your environment because maybe you travel too much, having a fake plant will actually work too. It's not the same as a live plant, but having plants in your environment, or things that are alive in your environment, actually help to draw in more positive energy. When we do any type of salutation in front of a shrine, or making an offering to God, the universe, or to whatever it is that you believe in, when we bring flowers to that shrine, or we bring fruit to that shrine as an offering, what we're doing is we're bringing this life and giving it to the divine, to heaven, as a means, as saying thank you, and please accept, our dedication, please accept our humbleness, and helping us give guidance or whatnot, and whatever the salutation that it is that you're doing. So really looking at your environment, understanding that everything is a flow. The other thing too is keep things light and bright. There's nothing more depressing than being in a place that's closed off. I have some clients that because another offer that we have is we do a 5-element coaching, where we look at the 5 healths of the person. And I've had some people in the past where that maybe their study, or where they do most of the work, is in a room that doesn't get direct sunlight, and the space is dull and dreary. So you want to put in lights, and what's nice about these new LED lights is that they don't take that much energy, and you can have it on a timer, but making sure that you have enough light, which then moves things around and helps to brighten up the spirit and pulls you out of the dark place. So it's a very simple synergy or analogy. If you're in a dark room, chances are you're going to feel dark and gloomy. If there's, right now we're in the spring season where the liver is more prone to disease and allergies are kicking up, but also people are getting sick as a residue laying over from the winter months. So if there's cold and viruses that are circulating around your house, one of the other simple things you do energetically to get the virus out of the house finally. So what I mean is that you get better, somebody else in the family gets sick, then you get sick, then you get better, then they get sick. So if that's going on for you, then what you need to do is, number one, you need to brighten up this place, up your space, open up all the windows and of the house and the doors, and really allow for the wind to blow through the space to clear out that negative energy. Something as simple too to clear out negative energy or stagnant energy in corners, especially in certain corners of the house, would be to, and that's not the clapper. What I'm doing is I'm actually helping to break up the stagnant energy. Oh, the light's actually turned on. That's crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, the stagnant energy that's in the corner, something simple as clapping will be enough to help to break up that energy. Okay, so some very, very, very basic fundamental tools. Because when we look at the compass school, for example, like looking at the placement of the door, the position of the house and stuff like that, most people aren't going to tear down their house and redirect the arrangement of their house based upon where they live or whatnot, or which way the door is facing, etc. So what you can do instead is to offset that is do these subtle little things to help to improve your environment. Now, take this 5-element questionnaire, because when we take the 5-element questionnaire, yes, we want to look at what our primary typology is, but also we want to look at what is our weakest typology. So I'll give you an example. I'm a wood type, which means my liver and gallbladder govern me. And but when I take the test, my weakest typology is actually the fire typology, which relates back to the heart. Now, years ago, what had happened was that I'd gone through a divorce, another nasty relationship right after that, and my heart chi, I was cut off, emotionally cut off in the heart. And a good friend of mine by the name of Mark Johnson, who would come and teach Feng Shui classes at our studio in San Jose, had us all do the 5-element questionnaire quiz, and he called me out and he said, well, what was your weakest typology? And I said, fire. And it was like negative, 20 or something like that. He's like, man, there's a complete disconnect between your primary typology and your fire typology. And it's true, because all the heartache I'd been through and all the suffering that I'd created mostly for myself was a contributing factor to this deficiency in my heart. So guess what? I wanted to build up more of my fire energy. So if you are weak in your fire energy, or if you're a fire type who's manic and all over the place and need to pull yourself back into proper balance within that typology, here's some simple tips to do. Number one, place the head of the bed in the south. So what I did, luckily for me, the windowsill, this is when I was single, the windowsill was facing the south. So I put the head of the bed in the south. And the color red and color pink is also associated with the fire typology as well too. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to paint my walls red or pink, though you can do that. And but in reality, I was like, okay, I want something red. Oh, pyramid shapes or triangular shapes also represent the fire typology. So I was like, okay, where can I find some red pyramids or some pyramids to stick in that windowsill? And actually, I went to a bookstore in Mountain View, California called East West Books, where actually I'm giving a talk later on in June this year. And sure enough, I found not only 2 pyramids, but the pyramids were red. So I put those in my windowsill, and guess what? I started drawing in all these people that were fire types. Most of them were manic at the time, so you have to be careful not to sift through them. But anyways, I was able to draw in finally my wife, who is a fire type. And her fire energy actually feeds, and it's a good synergy because my wood energy feeds the fire and vice versa. So anyway, so again, if you are deficient in fire, deficient in heart energy, if you are a heart person or a fire person, not based upon the Western astrology or not based upon the astrology for which of the year that you're born under, but really what we're talking about here is the typology based upon right here and now. If you are somebody like that, having your bed in the south is a good thing to do. The head of the bed in the south. Some people can't do that. Maybe the room is too small. And the reason why I'm suggesting the bedroom is because most people spend most of their time in the bedroom. So you put the head of the bed in the south. Finding sculptures or symbols of triangles or pyramids, even paintings of pyramids, candles, obviously candles, especially if you got like a pyramid-shaped candle, and then obviously if you light the candle, then that's adding more fire to your life. But again, we have to be realistic because let's say you are somebody who's deficient in fire and trying to find the love of your life. And Mark Johnson, he had actually told a story years ago. He said, Mark, I've done everything they said to do. I went out and I bought these red sheets and these red comforter. I got red curtains. I got all these candles in my room. I'm trying to find the love of my life, and nobody's coming in. And Mark said to him quite frankly, he said, you still have to take care of basic things. Like you still have to brush your teeth. You still have to have proper hygiene, comb your hair, take a shower, try using some deodorant, and maybe then your Feng Shui techniques at home will work. So let's be really practical when we're talking about Feng Shui. All right, so that's fire. Now, if we're looking at our earth element is represented by our spleen, stomach, and our pancreas. And if you're earth typology, then when you're in balance and you tend to be very grounded, earth people are very great. We make like great HR people because they can see both sides of the story. When you're out of balance, when earth people are out of balance, then they tend to be very stubborn. They can suffer from overweight or underweight conditions. They may crave a lot of sweets or carbs as a means to satisfy the stomach and spleen. So the spleen, the location is central, all right? So I guess put the bed in the middle of the room or whatnot. But what you can do is the colors of oranges and like light browns and yellows are actually associated with the earth element. So if you're an earth type and you're deviating from that typology, or if you take my 5-element questionnaire quiz and you figure out that, oh shoot, my earth element is really deficient or really weak, then what you do is you can add these colors into your environment. And did you know that a flat shape is actually, or a square shape is actually representing the earth element as well too. So you could actually have paintings on the walls or pictures on the walls of flat surfaces, like homes with flat roofs on them. You can have pictures of earth, of let's say the desert or the plains or whatever. You could also have sculptures of, let's say, of squares. So those simple type of things also will help to pull your earth typology up, okay? So, and also if you're deficient in earth, something that's simple, this is good for everybody, but just walking around outside barefoot, especially on the grass or on the dirt, just feel the energy of the earth pull up into your toes, into your body as you walk along the grass. Each step of the way, make it into a mindful practice of being able to really feel and connect with the earth and with the ground. All right, so this is really good to help to balance you out. And the negative emotion of the earth type is the emotions of worry, anxiety, over intellectualizing. Now this could apply to anybody. Anybody could get stuck in their head and over intellectualize things or have anxiety around a certain situation. But earth typologies tend to be more prone to this when they are out of balance. Right? So if you know you're an earth type and you know you're suffering, or you know that you get stuck in your head a lot and you analyze the situation, then really taking these gentle little steps in order to help to pull yourself back into your typology, or like I said, if you know you're weak in earth, you need to pull up your digestion, increase your digestion, then you could do these subtle things, and making sure to eat foods that are bland in nature, like sweet potatoes, oatmeal, those kinds of things, and to help to nurture that earth element. Okay, so from there, then we have our metal element. Now our metal element relates to our lungs, large intestine, colon, and skin. It also connects to the nose, and the metal element is associated with the negative emotions of sadness, grief, sorrow, and disappointment. So if metal types are very poised, they like the finer things in life, they're very hard workers, they like to get things done, they don't like to sit around much, generally speaking. But when they're out of balance, metal types don't like to show their sadness. So what they'll do is they'll put up a wall. So if you think about it here, our lungs is our front, is our barrier. So actually the lungs in Chinese medicine is responsible for our immune system. So if you're a metal type and you get colds and flus easily, you're getting asthma, or you've just been diagnosed with asthma for whatever the reason, is because this lung energy is out of balance. Okay, so when a metal type is out of balance, they don't want to show the sadness, and they'll cover up the sadness by anger or staying poised. You won't see a flinch or a flicker normally because they're going to keep that posture. But meanwhile, inside, all this stuff is turning. This starts to show up as disease. And when metal types are out of balance, they may tend to be more prone to skin conditions like eczema, maybe water retention like edema, certain types of edema, swelling of the hands, maybe the face and the feet. And so the positive virtue, though, for the metal type is courage. Having the courage to break through, having the courage to feel safe in the emotion of sorrow and loss, and being able to express that and being able to move on is the learning opportunity. So if you know you're a metal type and you know you're deviating from your typology, or you know you're weakest in your lung or metal energy, then what can we do? Well, the west is the direction for the bed. So you put the head of the bed in the west if you possibly can. Wind chimes are also really good. Having a wind chime outside your window is really good. Let's see here. The dome-shaped sculptures, dome shape, because the metal represents money and finances too. And did you know that the banks, years ago in the banks in China, a lot of them had that dome shape. Why? Because it represented this financial abundancy. So if you're somebody who's struggling financially, having something or sculptures in your bedroom that are dome shaped in nature can actually help to hopefully bring in more of abundancy in that realm of your world. So anyway, so the dome shape represents metal. The colors of white and gray. So wearing more white and gray, maybe having gray walls or certain hues of gray. It doesn't have to be dark gray, but maybe a lighter hue of gray in your room, whatever feels good for you. Maybe some white curtains. And the sounds of wind or the sounds of wind chimes also really help to benefit this lung energy. Okay, and so the lungs, like I said, house what is referred back to as our Wei Qi, which is the energetic bubble that resides around it. So it goes back to the shield. So if you're somebody who tends to get colds and flus easily, and these pathogens into our body, then one of the things that we need to do is we need to strengthen the shield and be able to ward off these pathogens. And so we need to strengthen this Wei Qi. And a simple way to do that is through foods also. So foods that are pungent in nature, like turnips, leeks, onions, garlic, cinnamon, mint, those are the kinds of things that you could do as well too. So anyways, so again, we all have our positive attributes and then areas where we need improvement, and it's trying to take advantage of our primary typology. And the best way to do that is, or one of the best ways of doing that is actually changing our environment or enhancing our environment to benefit that. So the next one would be our water element. The water element relates to the kidneys and the bladder and to the adrenal system. The kidneys, you're a water type, you're a very wise person. Generally speaking, water people have a lot of this wisdom and this knowledge. And when they're out of balance, they can tend to be stubborn also. They can tend to be lazy. Maybe if they're out of balance, then they overuse sex as a means to comfort themselves. So if you know you're a water type and you're deviating from your typology, or if you know that you're weak in the kidney or the water essence, then one of the things that you do is put the head of the bed in the north, because the north relates to the kidneys and the bladder. Colors of blue and black also represent the kidneys and the bladder, so you can wear more colors of blue or black. And sculpture shapes. Bowl shapes. Bowl shapes actually represents water, and they said they've done. I've seen studies where they've been in the desert and they needed water. People needed water, and they dug out these little bowl shapes and put some type of material in there to collect. And overnight, believe it or not, they'll actually by the next morning they'll have some water in that little bowl that they dug out in the sand or whatever. So anyways, the bowl shape represents water. So maybe having a sink or sculptures that are bowl shapes. Also, like I said in the beginning of our discussion here, having Having a fountain is really good for you in order to be able to have that running water and to keep the flow of energy moving. And the sounds also of running water too. So even if you play music of waves crashing, have pictures on your wall of waves or of rivers, bodies of water. These are all gentle little things that you could do in order to help to build your water typology or to pull you back into your primary typology of water, which is, once again, your kidneys and your bladder. Now, last but not least is our wood element. And the wood element relates to our liver and gallbladder. And the liver and gallbladder is affected by the negative emotions of anger, frustration, rage, and resentment. Now, for the wood typology, you're supposed to use that anger in a positive way to create positive change in the world, to be a leader that you're naturally born to be, and to help people, help to fight for the underdog. Now, if you're a wood type and you're deviating from that typology, meaning that you're having, let's say, migraines, you're going home and blowing up, or you're blowing up at people, flipping people off on the road, drinking too much, yelling too much. These are all deviations from your typology. So the wood personality type relates to the wood, or like a tree. So they should be steadfast in their position. If you want to get something done, you ask a wood person to do it, because they'll make sure that it gets done. Anyways, so the wood person should be this natural leader. If you're deviating from that typology, meaning you're not being the leader that you should be, then the simple thing that you could do, or if you find out, or you figure out that you are blowing up, you are angry and yelling at people, or you're imploding, and then if you're imploding, that means that you're depressed, like you're suffering from depression, so that would be a deviation from your type. Then what you can do is you could actually have the head of the bed in the east. Colors of green are associated with the liver, and sometimes you may find that you are naturally prone to wearing green, and sometimes that could be a good thing, or sometimes what that could do is it could actually be making more of an excess. So really pay attention to how you're feeling. So colors of green, putting the head of the bed in the east. Like I said, having live plants, if possible, inside the room, having pictures or paintings on the walls of trees and forests, rainforests, whatever that feels comfortable for you. Have those in your environment as well too. This also will help to build your wood energy. Sculptures, so having candles that are the rectangle shape, will actually help to pull in more of this wood energy as well too. So the sculpture shape, you could have a green candle that's rectangle, for example, or you just find really cool sculptures of rectangles that are kind of artsy fartsy, and put those in your room. So this is again a great simple Feng Shui remedy in order to help pull you back into your typology. But also, if you know that you, from taking the 5-element questionnaire quiz, if you know that you are deficient in your wood typology, you need to bring that energy up more. These are some gentle remedies that you could do in order to help to offset that. So food wise, I'm a wood type, so food wise, every morning I start off the day with hot water and full lemon or full lime squeeze into that hot water, and I drink that down before I ingest anything else, because I want to kickstart my digestion for the day. Things like kimchi, vinegar, those types of things also will help to benefit your wood or your liver energy, just not in excess though. You don't want to go crazy with it. You don't want to be drinking this stuff all day long, but 1 or 2 shots a day of or 1 shot of vinegar may be enough. So anyway, so here we have it. We have now all these remedies for these different typologies, which when you combine with diet, when you combine with sleep, when you combine with exercise, and also with your Qigong practice, having the proper stuff in your environment based upon what you need, not what everybody else needs, but what you need in order to bring out the best person possible in you, and to have an overall well-being and sense of balance in your life. Because when we look at balance comes from all different angles. And again, I have to emphasize this as I wrap things up here, is that get rid of things that do not serve you. And whether it's a relationship, whether it's a poor lifestyle habit, it's a poor eating habit, or something dead in your environment, get rid of the dead energy, pull in the life that you deserve to have, and by pulling in the life that you deserve to have, you'll bring in much more life, and you'll bring in a positive life from other people around you, the environment, the universe, God. Everything will then flow with you, and you'll have the supreme life that you deserve to have. So I'm Chris Shelton, signing off from chilly Los Angeles, California. And until next time, may the Chi be with you.